UFC 281 is tomorrow, and a lot of close ones on this card. For this video, I'm going to break down just the top 3 fights, and at the end, I'm going to give you just a quick overview of the whole card, what I think. So stay tuned for that. I don't want to waste any time, so let's just hop into this. Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier. This fight, obviously, you know, everybody knows it has like a lot of heated rivalry. Obviously, with Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler, like, you know, screaming at each other at UFC 276. I don't think it's any secret that the guys don't like each other. Last time Michael Chandler was at Madison Square Garden, he fought Justin Gaethje, fight of the year. Is this fight going to be another fight of the year candidate? Michael Chandler was saying that this fight, look, he's not looking to have a fight of the year. He's looking to get his hand raised, which tells me that he's looking to wrestle. This is Michael Chandler's best game plan going into this. I mean, Dustin Poirier is a killer. I mean, he's knocked out Conor McGregor, Dan Hooker. I mean, some of the best strikers out right now. A lot of people are going to say Dan Hooker's not one of the best strikers, but he's a pretty decent guy. But regardless, look, I think everyone agrees Dustin Poirier definitely one of the best strikers in the UFC. Definitely, in my opinion, the best boxer in the UFC. We've seen Dustin Poirier be able to get taken down, you know, Charles Oliveira, Khabib Nurmagomedov, but these are guys with the best ground game. Michael Chandler is a really good wrestler. I mean, you've seen him wrestle with Kamaru Usman. There's videos out there of him wrestling with him. So he has an ability to wrestle. I think in order for Michael to win this, he's going to have to mix in the takedowns. I don't think he could just wrestle him out the gate, as I said in my other video. Also, if you're Michael Chandler, you got to look out for that guillotine from Dustin. But Michael Chandler is so good at defending submissions. I mean, watch that fight with Charles Oliveira. Final prediction, Dustin Poirier. I think the first round, I think he tags him a little bit. You know, you saw Chandler basically struggle with Tony Ferguson when he was in Southpaw. I think similarly he's going to struggle. I think he gets out of the first round. I think in the second round, Dustin Poirier puts it on him. Chandler's faded, and Dustin wins by knockout. I don't see this one going to a decision. Co-main event, Carla, Esparza, Zhang, Weili. You know, there's been a lot of hype behind this because, well, I'm lying. There hasn't been any hype. But stay with me because Zhang... But stay with me because Zhang Weili, that video of her picking up Francis Ngannou, crazy. I mean, he's about 300 pounds in that video. Now, obviously, look, Zhang Weili, I mean, she's definitely training wrestling, and I mean, she is so strong. I mean, she really impressed me with her last performances. Even though she lost against Rose, she did a lot better, had some success. Obviously, I think anybody can tell you, look, Weili has the advantage on the feet. She's a great boxer. You know, if this is a stand-up battle, she wins. At first, I'm gonna be honest, in the beginning of this week, I was like, there is no chance Esparza's winning this fight. Weili is just on another level right now. She's so strong, she's so prepared. Her wrestling has improved, which I still all agree with. Her wrestling has improved, but you know, when you look at her previous fights, I'm watching her other fights, she's gotten taken down by Rose. She's gotten taken down before in the past. She's not exactly the greatest at defending the takedowns based on her fight history, and I'm sure she's working on it. So can someone like Esparza take her down? I think that she could take her down. Does this mean that I think Esparza is going to win the fight? I don't think so. I'm going with Weili. I think Original's going to go by finish. I might still put some money on that. I think it's going to probably go to a decision. Maybe not. Maybe Weili could defend the takedowns enough. Maybe because she hits hard. I mean, she knocked out Jessica Andrade in 40 seconds. So I'm going to have to go with Weili on this one. But the main event, what everybody is looking forward to, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira. Obviously, look, everyone knows the background. I don't even got to explain it, but I will for those of you that have been living under a rock. Look, Adesanya, last time he lost, other than Jan Blachowicz at light heavyweight, was against Alex Pereira. Years ago, he got knocked out cold and also lost a decision against Alex. This was in kickboxing. Then after that loss, Izzy moves to MMA, undefeated at middleweight, 22 straight at middleweight, 21 straight at middleweight. Izzy is killing it in the UFC. Now, Alex Pereira shifts over to MMA, brings his abilities, trains with Glover Teixeira, builds his way up, and now is here. He is rematching Adesanya for the 3rd time, but this time in MMA. I think when you look at this fight, look, I think a lot of people have a lot of things wrong with this fight. A lot of people are under this impression that Alex Pereira is very different from Izzy, and that basically he just is a guy that pushes the pace, a guy that kills everybody. The truth is look, I'm gonna be honest, the guy is basically like Israel Adesanya. They're both very patient. There's a lot of boring fights you could say about Alex and his kickboxing career. The guy's very patient, and look, a lot of people, like I said, they're under this pressure because they see in the UFC that this isn't like this. I think this fight's going to be just a kickboxing battle. I see this being very slow, boring. I think if you're expecting this fight to be a banger, like I saw Dana White say that this fight's a guaranteed banger, I really don't think so. The fight is probably going to be very boring, lots of feints, a lot of setting up. I think on a technical standpoint, it's going to be very interesting. And what I mean by boring, I don't think it's going to be boring per se, but I don't think it's going to be like the back and forth that some people are making it out to be. I think from a technical standpoint, it's going to be very interesting. I don't think any of them are going to freeze up because that's what my opinion makes the fight boring. But if it's from a technical standpoint, I don't think the fight is going to be boring, you know? I think what's making Israel Adesanya's other fights, and I have a video about this, I'll put it up there if you want to watch it, but what makes Israel Adesanya's last fights boring isn't necessarily even Adesanya. It's also the fact that one of the guys are not fighting because Israel is pushing them out on the inside, jabbing. He isn't, and Israel is also really going for the kill. So, like, it takes two to tango. I think both of them are kind of doing something wrong, but this is a fight where both of these guys are going to be on their toes. You know, a lot of people get this impression that, look, it's either Alex by knockout, Izzy by decision. Wrong. Izzy could also knock out Pereira because people forget that Izzy has power. I mean, he's knocked out Robert Whittaker, Paulo Costa. The guy finishes people. Not of recently, but I think if Alex pushes the pace a little bit, there's a chance that you can get knocked out too. This fight is a fight that you got to be very careful with if you're Izzy or Alex. Part of me wants to go Alex, but I think my final prediction is going to be Israel Adesanya. The thing about them is that they're both better than each other, but at different ways. I think Izzy has more weapons, and I think, honestly, from a technical standpoint, I think Alex is a little bit better. I think he has the higher fight IQ, and obviously he has, I think, more power. It's so hard to tell, but I think Izzy, look, the momentum is behind him. His last fights were very close with Alex. I think Izzy wins a close decision. I think a lot of people are going to consider this like boring. I don't know if it'll be boring, but I think it's going to be a very like cautious back and forth battle. Very slow pace, basically like fighting with your mind. Basically like a chess game. All right, so right now I'm going to look at the card right now. I'll give a few predictions. Quick fire, and this card is so stacked. I'm gonna go to the prelims. Andre Petrosky, Wellington Turman. I think I'm gonna go Andre. Aaron Blanchfield, Molly McCann. Definitely, I mean, obviously I think logically Aaron wins, but Molly though has a lot of momentum. She's had a really good year thus far, and if she wins at MSG, I mean, she's definitely in the run for best female fighter of the year, especially if she knocks her out. I mean, come on, like, who else is winning that? Dominic Reyes, Ryan Spann. This fight is so close, man. I don't know. I mean, look, I like Dominic Reyes. I consider him to be the only guy that beat John Jones. I think that was honestly like a robbery. Like, people say robbery, throwback. I honestly consider that fight a robbery. I'm gonna go with Dominic Reyes. It's a good matchup because both these guys aren't exactly like, you know, Dominic isn't going against such a high level guy like he did with Yuri, Jan, John. I mean, people who consider him like, oh, he's on a 3-fight losing streak. I mean, you look at the guys that he's lost to. Jan, former champion. He lost to Yuri, the current champion. John Jones, greatest of all time. And that fight was razor close. So yeah, I think Dominic Reyes gets in the win column again after this weekend. Brad Riddell, Renato Moicano. Close fight. I'm going to go, though, Renato Moicano. Think that he's probably the underdog, but I just think so. He's very tough, obviously, as you saw in his last fight. His boxing's pretty good, and he's all around pretty good. I just think Brad Riddell, he's lacking in some departments, so I'm going to go with Renato Moicano. Dan Hooker, Claudio Puelles. I really don't know anything about Claudio. I'm going to be honest. Don't call me a casual, but don't really know much about him. I'm going to just say Dan Hooker, though. Frankie Edgar, Chris Gutierrez, last one. You know, I think a lot of people count Frankie Edgar out. You know, his last fight against Marlon Vera, I mean, he was winning the fight. But a lot of people consider him winning the fight up until that finish, but it was very close. So I wouldn't count him out yet. He hasn't fought since. I don't think he is like one of those fighters that are old and really bad. I think he's retiring at a good time. You know, obviously, like, he's had rough knockouts. He had the knockout, obviously, to Chito Vera last year at MSG, and he also had that terrible knockout against Corey Sandhagen. History would say Chris Gutierrez, but I'm gonna go with Frankie Edgar. I think he's coming with it. I think he's coming with it. It's his final fight. I think he's going to put his all into it. The face-off was intense. I'm going Frankie Edgar. Please leave your predictions in the comments below. I'm curious. I want to chat. I want to talk. I want to talk UFC 281. I will be there in attendance, front row, next to Dana White. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did. And yeah, guys, see you after UFC 281.